The Angry Chicken is a production of Amove TV. Bookmark amove.tv for more gaming and esports shows. The Angry Chicken is directly supported by listeners like you via patreon.com/TAC.
Everyone, get in here! Ready for action! I've got the beast in my sight.
A podcast about Hearthstone, Heroes of Warcraft. This is The Angry Chicken.
Greetings. Welcome back, everyone. This is The Angry Chicken, podcast all about Hearthstone. And to my Murloc brethren out there, I'm Garrett Weinzierl. I'm joined, as always, by Santa Dills, Santa Joss, and there's currently a Murloc on my head if you're listening in the audio version, because I didn't get the memo that I had to go unpack my Santa hat. So
you don't keep your Santa hat unpacked year-round?
I was going to say, my Santa hat was just sitting on my desk ready to go, so there was no memo. It was
At
just
a moment's
here,
notice,
it should
I
be.
can
Exactly.
become Santa.
At the drop of a Santa hat, you can have it ready. All right.
Well, it's the 12 Dills of Christmas, Garrett, so, you know, we're in a festive mood today.
Which Dills of Christmas is it?
It is the second.
The
Yesterday
second
was
Dills
the
of
first.
Christmas.
So, yeah, we kicked it off. We had a fun stream. We played some really terrible decks. The Gift of Giving deck, which ended up becoming just a mill deck after a while. Like, we started off all the cards that give your opponent something.
Yeah.
So, you know, we had, like, ETC and stuff in there, Blingtron.
Oh, so good.
And then we realized that deck sucked. So we kind of turned it slowly. You know, the Eviscerates found their way back in and the Backstabs. And then it ended up being kind of like a mill deck with a Blingtron, you know. So but it was fun. And then we also played, Eggnog in Fogger Yogg in Fogger.
Say that
Egg
5
Yogg
times
and
fast.
Fogger.
Holy crap.
Egg Yoggenfogger?
Yeah, so try to imagine what that is. So, well, I mean, it's pretty clear. It's an
got
egg deck. Yeah.
Yep.
Egg, so you put all the eggs in, then you buff them, and then you play Mayor Noggenfogger, and then you also play Yaaaar'thstone. So, yeah.
All right.
And that was also terrible, but hilarious. When I actually did play the Mayor Noggenfogger, it was pretty funny, because then I had all these buff cards, and I tried to buff my dudes, and I just buffed the other guys' dudes.
That is
I was like, yeah, this is why you don't make this deck. Okay.
that is real dumb.
Yeah, but good times were had.
Yeah,
Sure.
I'm not saying it wasn't fun, but man, that sounds
Yep.
like fun dumb fun.
Yeah,
So
ranks
would
were
it,
lost,
like-
but fun was had.
Would it, like, increase your chances to buff your own dudes if you, like, targeted your opponent's dudes or something?
It's completely random, so yeah.
So it doesn't matter where you start?
No. Like what it does the thing that happens when you misdirect. You know,
yeah.
so the little
Bouncy
target goes over a bunch of stuff and then lands on something. Yeah. No matter what it is you do, attack, spell, anything. So
thing? Yep.
I was actually surprised I even had the card. I don't remember opening Mayor Noggenfogger or crafting it, so I guess I did at some point and just tried to strike it from my memory. But yeah, it was good.
I feel
good
like
fun.
I remember you opening it. I think.
Maybe. I don't know.
You got so many
The
legendaries,
Golden
we lost
Kazakis
track.
and the Golden Coon were,
Yeah.
Yep.
I got to give
But
it up
today will be
to
the second Dills of Christmas. We'll try some new stuff. So if anybody has ideas, you know, I'll at a certain point I will have enough bourbon hot cider in me that I will try whatever dumb idea you've got. So Bring
So,
it.
okay, wait. What's the second day of Christmas?
Doves, Jocelyn.
Right,
Shoot.
okay. So you need to do like a bird deck, like a dove deck.
Okay.
Oh, peace. Oh, you could do like a peace theme where like you can't attack your opponent's face or something. So it has to be like random effects in order to do 30 damage.
Kill them. Well, I could kill them only through fatigue or something.
it's
right?
a bunch
Yeah,
of
something like
minions
that.
that can't attack or don't have attack values, like eggs, like ancient watchers. That zero.
There's got to be enough birds at this point, right, to put something together.
Yeah. You get-
Yeah, but you
I mean,
also there's many days of birds, right?
It's pretty much all the days of Christmas is
birds.
birds. Yeah. It's something like 400 something birds if you re-gifted all of the things, like, so, you know, on the 12th you get all of them again, right? That's how the song goes anyway.
Yeah.
And something like 400 birds were given.
too many birds.
Yeah,
What's the etiquette on regifting living beings?
It's totally okay. This is Christmas, Garrett. Everything is on the table.
All right. I mean, there's a good chance that you'll regift a parrot because it will outlive you. But beyond that, I don't know.
It's kind of morbid to think about, but yeah,
A little bit. I still the thing I always think about with parrots. I'm like, man, I'd like a parrot, but do I like it enough to have it around for the rest of my life?
Yeah. What if your parrot is like a jerk, right?
Yeah.
What if he's a little bastard? Yeah.
I totally heard you stifling the D word too, by the way.
Try to keep it family friendly. It's Christmas time.
Yeah.
You know?
What if your parrot's a D?
Children about.
A dork.
Unless
children.
we're talking about who wins brawls, right?
Yes. I thought it was Enter the Arena, but never mind. Or Enter the Coliseum.
One or the other, I can't remember. I was just giving you an opportunity to play the soundbite.
Yeah, you guys can't hear it anymore, so the soundboard's pointless. Like, if you guys can't hear it, then it's just like one of us is just going to start talking over it, and it will ruin it. But you know what you're not going to talk over? You're not going to talk over delicious food showing up at your doorstep via HelloFresh.com, who is sponsoring this episode of The Angry Chicken. So if you would like $35 off your first week of deliveries, visit HelloFresh.com and enter the code TAC, that's TAC, when you subscribe. We haven't talked about HelloFresh in a little while, so to remind you, if you are unfamiliar, it is a meal delivery service that brings fresh, ready-to-cook meals directly to your doorstep. It's in a special insulated box. When I got my first HelloFresh box, it was still summer temperatures in Florida, and everything was perfectly safe inside. It was fine. I totally forgot about it for like an hour or two on my front doorstep into the direct heat, and it was fine. I don't recommend you ever leave food out in the direct sunlight, but if you do, it's probably still okay because it's pretty darn well insulated. And I'm a bad cook, so HelloFresh lets me lie and have friends over and be like, yeah, I made this all by myself. I don't tell them that it was like paint by numbers, that I had a nice little list right there of exactly what to do and every single possible thing I could possibly need perfectly portioned out so that all I had to do was just not set it on fire. That was my only goal, was not to burn it.
Yeah,
So-
I thought I was going to screw it up, and I don't think you can. It's it's also like a fun little adventure, right? Like you open it up and you're like, oh, I've never thought about putting that on a hamburger before. And you're like, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
So I've actually, like, since my HelloFresh box came, I've actually started doing more, like, weird stuff since then.
Adventurous
It inspired
things.
me. Yeah.
Yeah. That's the thing. We usually try to keep these sponsor reads light and funny, but honestly with HelloFresh, it's like half of the stuff I would never cook on my own, and it's delicious and it's awesome. And instead, I'm not just doing noodles for the third night in a row this week. So I appreciate it. They definitely help me eat better. So check them out, HelloFresh.com. Use the code TAC, and you'll get $35 off your first week of deliveries. Check them out. Also, if you have an option for any citrus, specifically vitamin C giving options in HelloFresh for the week you try and sign up, get it, because you might get scurvy from Hearthstone right now. We're going to talk about a lot of pirates this week, or this episode, which is this week. We do a lot of episodes sometimes in a week.
Wow. Glad we cleared that up.
Yeah.
Glad I
I
did.
was really worried that this episode was going to be next week, and I'm like, I don't
Yeah.
even understand.
I don't even know. So patches will be nerfed next week, and everyone will be like, WTF, how old is this? Yeah, I went
How
there.
would you actually nerf patches, by the way?
Um,
They're like, he's a 0-1 who comes out for free. And you're like,
I'm not sure. I think I'd nerf Small Time Buccaneer.
Yeah.
yeah, if anything, probably that. Yeah.
Anyways, we have some Hearthstone news to talk about before we dive into strategy, which will be an all pirates discussion. So let's talk about the news first. Here it is.
Good news, everyone!
China's getting some really cool stuff, and I'm getting salty about it. Is the headlines for this
Yeah.
week. First off, what we wanted to talk about is, guys, a tournament app for Hearthstone is coming to China.
Kind of.
Sort of, kind of, yes. It's not a mode. It's not a button in the game. It is outside of the game, but it works directly with Hearthstone, specifically the PC client. This is going to be in China only, so far as we know. It's a secondary application that runs in tandem with Hearthstone called Hearthstone Box. It was developed by NetEase, which is the partner company that Blizzard works with to put out all of their games and services in China. We talked a lot about NetEase on just about every show, I think, at this point, because they have. If we talk about Blizzard's impact in China, it usually involves NetEase. So this allows players to compete in automatic tournaments by installing the app on their computer and having it read data directly from the Hearthstone game client. And when are we getting this? Give it to me now. I'm impatient. I know it's Christmas, but I'm sorry. Come on, Santa Bro, get down my chimney.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we would rather see something actually built into the client, but this is it's a good step towards that, I think. So it works very similar if any of you guys use any kind of deck tracking program. So like Hearthstone Deck Tracker works in a similar way. But there's some rules that are kind of tied to this that I'm really curious about, because specifically they're talking about how you need to have a good internet connection because you have to have the tournament app open the whole time. Mm-hmm. So what happens if you accidentally, maybe not through your connection, through their connection, whatever, but what happens if you actually do like disconnect from Hearthstone or from this tournament app? Like, it seems really weird that it's just like, oh, then you're out. Sorry.
I mean, I'm sure it's an anti-cheating measure, right? So they can keep.
Yeah, because you could just turn it off or something, right? Like,
I guess so.
Like, there was actually some allegations against the player. I'm not even going to bring up the name because we're not going to witch hunt somebody, but. No. Who was pretending essentially to DC when they got bad opening hands in tournaments. And I guess it happened enough times in the span of a tournament that people were like, yo, that's weird. Mm-hmm. And you could obviously blame it on a poor connection, but they kept regaming, right? And then he would come back in and then have like a better hand the second time than the first time. So you kind of have to have this, like, you either have to make the rule be like, you're always out, or you forfeit that game or whatever. But the thing is, I don't even see anything on here about buying in or money or anything like that. So if you do get disconnected, like, who really cares if it's just like a free tournament? Mm-hmm. I'm not sure what these tournaments are actually going to be for. There's nothing in here about that. So
mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it's translated.
It could be a little loose.
Celestial Sin has been translating quite a bit of this, and as well as the second story we're going to discuss. So it's not perfect. You know, I'm sure some things get lost in translation, but it seems pretty figured out. It makes a lot of sense to me. But you're right. The kind of the question is, well, what are you doing this for at the end of the day? I mean, if nothing else, something like this would be great for Taco, for example. I mean, you don't necessarily need to have the prizes built into the system itself. The system just helps facilitate doing the tournament. And at the end, you can just look at the results and dish your prizes out accordingly. Obviously, you know, when we've talked about our desires for tournament mode in the past, I think we've been talking within the confines of the game itself. But I would be totally cool with something like this. 100%. If this gets us, you know, closer to a tournament experience, more of a pick up and play, like, oh, I've got 3 hours to kill tonight. Let me see if there's a tournament I can jump into. I would love something like this. Obviously, I think
could make this. Just we'd like Blizzard to do it, right? Like somebody could do essentially what they did with Hearthstone Deck Tracker and just build something where, you know, you pick your stuff in there, but then you still are forced to go to the client to actually select your deck and start your match or whatever. But like we had in the taco this weekend, we had a player accidentally pick the wrong deck because it was a banned deck, and you know they were forced to forfeit that game. And we were talking about it on that stream. It would be so great if the client supported the tournament, because then the banned deck would not even be selectable, right? Like you would have like only the 3 decks left, and you would never make errors like that. This is definitely a step in the right direction, but still would be. It's kind of like having Battlefy like running things for you.
Well, exactly.
Having to like input everything, right?
Yeah, basically, this is kind of like Battlefy, but then that I'm assuming automatically records your results.
Like it reads that you won. It reads like when the match starts and all that stuff, and then at the end, it's like it's automatically entered for you. So that's pretty much all it's doing, as far as I can tell.
Exactly. So, I mean, like entering results, because we also on Taco this weekend had an issue where one of the results for one of the games wasn't entered. And then so we were just kind of like, okay, wait, hang on. Yes, thought we casted that win with that deck, but wait, did we? And like second guessing ourselves because it wasn't recorded in the results by the players. So I mean, like there's obviously little issues like that, and every step where you have like player interaction there's obviously room for then error, which if it was all just done automatically by the client, that would be way better. But in terms of like things that I wish that the tournament client did, recording the score is not really up there on things I need it to do. I think, like Dills mentioned, the deck selection and bans, if that was handled in client, like that's, or by an outside app or whatever somehow, like that's the piece that seems to cost players, at least in any of the tournaments that we've run, that seems to cost players the most. You know, you miss a result, it's not the end of the world. You could just say, oh, whoops, okay, yeah, like this deck beat this deck. Technically, it was game 2, not game 4, but whatever, not the end of the world. But in terms of like choosing the wrong deck, that actually was, in this case, the end of the player's run in the tournament. So, you know, it can have really impactful effects. So I would rather see that part of the tournament a little bit more regulated and automated so that there was less room for human error in that section. But
sure,
at least
also
someone...
deck list stuff too. I mean, there's all sorts of stuff.
Deck lists that we don't even deal with because
we don't care in Taco because it's just too much of a hassle.
It's a hassle, exactly. Yeah.
But like I had at the DreamHack tournament that I played in, I won my first match, and then the girl I beat turned in the match as her victory. Like told the admins that she had won. I come back for my second match, and it's listing me in the one loss bracket. And I'm like, no. You know, it's like those types of things just happen, right? And it's not. She didn't mean to do it. It was just a miscommunication, I'm sure, between her and the admin. You know, she turned in the correct score, but they recorded it as her win, not mine. And if everybody just opened up a tournament inside Hearthstone and just played the thing, that would never happen, right? You would get rid of all of these errors and everything would run so smoothly. So I'm super happy to see something Blizzard supported that is, you know, and yes, it's NetEase, but this is Blizzard supported, if that's who's doing it. Doing something tournament related. Huge news. However, like Garrett, you're like, give us this. I'm like, no, don't give us this. Test that ish in China, and then give us the in-client one when you've worked out the bugs, right? That's what I really want. Like,
yeah.
I just want it now. I just want to play around with it, see how it works, so I can give hands-on experience.
I wouldn't turn it down. I would not. I would not turn it away. I'm just saying, like this is not far enough, but it's a good step, right?
Well, and it would be really interesting to see exactly how it worked, like if it is integrated in with like Hearthstone's API and if they've got all the background coding that things like Hearthstone Deck Tracker don't have, because Hearthstone Deck Tracker works from like screen recognition, doesn't it?
No, Hearthstone Deck Tracker uses the log that's created.
Oh, okay.
So like you actually, when you're playing, you see your draw on the tracker before you see the draw on the game.
Yeah,
right.
And that's why.
Right.
Yeah, so it's all done through like the back, because there's literally like in the back end, if you draw a zombie chow, like it says zombie chow. You know.
What an obscure card for you to use as an example right now.
I play a lot of arena still, man.
Clearly.
I thought you were going to say I've got Wild on the brain, which actually we didn't see a lot of zombie chow this weekend, which was surprising.
No, not in a tournament.
No,
zombie chow is still just like an arena card. Right?
Yeah.
But anyway.
We used them back in the day because we didn't have a whole lot of other options.
That's true. Yeah.
But
people are using that little new 2-drop or 1-drop that has the 2/2 that gives the health. Yeah. People are using that in like the Reno locks and stuff. It's pretty effective. Gives you 2 free taps. Pretty cool.
It's nice stuff.
Mistress of Mixtures. I remembered a card name.
Yay!
There you go. I'm still learning it, man. I'm still like the guy with the 1 and the 2 and the gets buffed to 2, also known as Satan.
I just say like the 5/4 that does this, or the we know that, but there's too many names now. Like
we were talking
it's
about it
not
on the weekend.
False, man.
It's like
what,
11?
We can't remember.
1,100 cards or something now.
1280 something. Yeah.
Oh, was it almost 1,300?
If you include wild cards, yes.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy. While we're on the subject of cool things coming to China through NetEase, there's a sealed Hearthstone tournament being hosted by NetEase. So Blizzard China is hosting a sealed Hearthstone tournament. Players in this tournament will be given new accounts with 6,000 coins and 60 packs of Mean Streets of Gadgetzan cards. They can use the currency to do whatever they want other than run arena. Duplicates can be disenchanted, but they can't they can't target disenchant. They can only disenchant dupes.
Okay.
They can't go in and just be like, well, I'm never going to use Zombie Chow, which I don't know how I got from Mean Streets of Gadget's ad, but yeah.
Yeah, so you can't just go and disenchant legendaries and epics and stuff to make a zoo deck.
Yeah, exactly. And the other interesting thing is that they'll receive additional packs over the course of the tournament based on their performance. So, for example, if a team sweeps and wins 3-0, they get 10 packs. But then there's diminishing returns the closer the series is. So if you had a 3-2, the winning team would get 6 packs, the loser would get 4 packs. So this is...
I'm curious. So wait, how long is this? They're just earning packs, and then they use those packs to create new, better decks, and then...
I would assume that you stop getting packs as rewards if you're knocked out of the tournament, but if losers are getting packs, I'm assuming it's Swiss, or there's a losers bracket. Again, I'm working with...
What I'm curious is this like a single day event, or is this like something that's going on for some...
looks like it's a group stage, starting on December 15th, and the group stages wrap up on December 24th.
Okay, so it's like, it's like a week.
The finals are on Christmas Day, December 25th.
Oh, this is cool. Okay.
Yeah, but this is interesting. I just thought the format, like the way they give them fresh accounts with currency and X amount of packs, and the fact that depending on your record, you get more things added on. That's very out of the realm of anything I've thought of in how to run a sealed or a limited format. So I'm not sure how I feel about it, but I'd like to watch it. Unfortunately, it's translated, and I'm not sure if I can.
I've done this type of thing with Magic before, where like when you win, you get a new pack, and then you open the new pack, and you can like alter your deck.
See, I've never played that. That's interesting.
Yeah, it's actually pretty cool. It's pretty sweet because like as you go on, your deck like essentially gets stronger, right? And everybody's decks become strong. Also, you know what does this too? Elder Scrolls Legends. When you play like their arena thing, like as you go, you like open new packs and add new cards and like can adjust your deck as you go there too. Which it's really cool. It actually works very well because the farther you go, and essentially like the pack that you get is now yours to keep too, right? So like as you continue through the tournaments, like you're getting more cards to take home with you.
Yeah.
So it's pretty fun. This is a cool idea for Hearthstone. Again, put this in the client. Put all of it in the client.
Put it in the game. Let me play it in the game. Lose my mind over this. I don't care how much I'd have to spend to get into some weird 60-pack, 6,000 coin format.
Dude, how fun would that be? Oh my god.
That's kind of thing, though, right? Like, this is the sort of thing that really only Blizzard can do because not only just anyone can make a new account, but then the amount of currency and packs that they have to play with. Like, this would be a huge buy-in.
Yeah.
Well, you can't get a new account and then purchase 6,000 coins, right? 6,000 gold.
You can do the packs, but...
yeah, you can do the packs, yeah.
But are they talking... Yeah, you can do the pack. Are they talking, like... Because they say coins here. Are they talking gold or are they talking like gold, Amazon coins?
I'm assuming gold. Again, this is translated using Google Translate.
Coins,
so.
Okay. Here it says.
Well, yeah, it's translated.
Yeah. Okay, 6,000 gold coins. Yeah.
Dills, gold is.
So this has to be gifted by Blizzard to these participants. Then.
Yeah.
That's the only way to do that.
Right.
Well, and I imagine the accounts then just go away at the end, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like no one would get to take this home. Unless it's maybe if it's part of the prize, but if you're a serious Hearthstone player competing in the tournament, wouldn't you already have your own account with all the cards? Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure all the players playing this already have their accounts with all the cards. So it doesn't actually say anything about what the reward actually is, right?
Yeah, like what the prize in the tournament is.
Is there a money prize or is it just this account?
We are working with incomplete information.
Yeah.
There's a lot of information missing from this little article here.
Honestly, unless it's a Ferrari, I'm not that interested in what the prize is. I'm curious about the format.
Sure.
Oh, that's funny.
I want to know how much money they get.
Yeah. Should be a lot since the finals are on Christmas, man.
Better be.
Well, it's literally 10 days of competition here. Well, it's 7 technically, but you start on the 15th, you end on the 25th. 11 days. I mean, that's a lot.
Yeah. Yep.
It's a big...
a lot of time out of your life.
It's a long tournament. But I'd be excited. I'd like to just play in this thing.
how would like? There's no way for us to set something like this up.
No,
No.
not this exact.
Yeah.
Not this exact. Not with the gold. Basically, I mean,
You can do the Tempo Storm sealed thing,
Right,
which
right.
is pretty cool. The problem there again though is like, you open a bunch of packs and then you like don't have a card, right? And then you're forced to like craft it, and if it's a legendary, that's tough. So what we really need is like a sealed generator where you put your collection in and then it builds from that.
Yeah. I'm sure you could build. You could with the Tempo Storm tool. You could do something similarly, but just nothing with this.
Or we
gold.
need it in the client where it just allows you to play with any card in the game just
yes.
for that tournament.
I asked Santa Brode for it last year, and he didn't give it to me.
He didn't
so
give it. I know.
I
but
don't
you know
even
what?
know what to think anymore.
Don't give up on your dreams.
It just
Jocelyn.
means you were.
Keep asking Santa Brode, and maybe this year you'll get Fraggle Stick Car and tournament mode.
Yeah, you think so?
It just.
I don't know if I've been good enough.
Yeah, it just means you were naughty. I mean,
Whoa!
we were all naughty.
Well, I'm not legend yet. What did you think I was talking about?
Okay. and you've been playing Dirty Hunter all year too. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, Dirty Hunter, which is doing not nearly as great as it used to.
No,
right now.
Hunter's not dirty anymore. Hunter is it sucks. for
Hunter is wearing like a flannel plaid shirt and a big floppy LA hat, and it's at the local, conflict-free coffee bean coffee place because it's full on hipster.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah, Hipster Hunter,
yeah.
is in right now.
They're like, we don't have Glaive Zook anymore. We can't play with these cool pirates.
You can in Wild.
You can in Wild. Yep.
You can in Wild. But anyways, let's talk some pirates. Let's move into strategy. And just before we do, let's thank the patrons over at patreon.com/TAC for supporting us. We say it every week, guys. We really do appreciate the help. It goes a long way to help us, all three of us. This is our job now. We're doing full-time content creation, full-time podcasting. And every cent helps. The amount of people are just like, enjoy my $1. And it's just like, yeah, but you plus like 200 other people doing that really adds up. So thanks, dude or dudette. You were awesome. So this episode, thank you to Vito S, Yap WJ, Josh L, Davidson Y, Faustivius, Alan V, JG, and Brian T. Thank you all so much for supporting the show. We really do appreciate it. I'm too hot to keep my Murloc hood on. Sorry. That being said, let's move into strategy and get our... let's talk about Yaaaar'thstone.
Hit it very hard.
Wanna blow something up? Time to pay!
Talking about pirates, or as Jocelyn put on the title of a strategy talk, just Yar.
Yarr!
Nice.
You got to get a little more growly there, Garrett.
I gave it my effort before the drop. So, Dills, we need your pirate battle cry. You're the only one who hasn't done it now.
Yar!
All right. No, actually, I like yours.
I actually had a donation one time to play a pirate deck and talk like a pirate the entire time I played it.
Oh my God.
And it was quite hard actually to keep that up.
So
It was hard.
were you doing were you doing like cheesy pirate, like you're like about to introduce SpongeBob SquarePants, or were you doing like Johnny Depp or Jeffrey Rush?
I was doing something, probably closer to a Johnny Depp.
Okay.
I think. Yeah.
So
Like a drunken pirate.
Oh, gotcha. Just rum-soaked tongue constantly. Gotcha. All right. I like that. I still like pirates. I don't care what anyone says. Yeah. So, hey, do you guys remember the very first show tournament there ever was at BlizzCon for Hearthstone? And Husky showed up with a pirate deck, and we made fun of him because he just got destroyed.
Yep.
Little did we know, he saw the future. The Flash showed up and was like, "Yo, Husky, pirates, man." Pirates. It just took some time to get there because pirates are king right now. It's ridiculous. Everyone talks about, pirates and ninjas. No, this is just pirates with crowns on because they're everywhere. And it's not just warriors. That's what everyone talks about, but there's pirate rogue is working out very well. And then I wouldn't call it pirate shaman, but there's aggro shaman that has just a little seasoning of pirates.
It's the smidge of pirates is all you really need, honestly. to be honest, the pirate warrior wouldn't even run the other pirates if it weren't for the fact that they have weapon buffing pirates in their arsenal as well.
Yeah.
Like they don't really care that much about the late game pirates, the mid game pirates. They only care about the weapons and getting that fast start, right?
Right.
And so essentially what Shaman are doing with it is they're just using it to get the fast start, and then they move into their lava burst Jade stuff, which, you know, Jade Lightning is a fantastic aggro tool. It goes face, it makes a dude, and then of course you still have lava burst and lightning bolts. So plenty of burst that goes over taunts for Shaman.
Yeah.
So the Shaman deck I think is actually the scariest of the three. I
agree. Also, personally, I'm the most interested by it. Because I didn't see this coming at all. Like when it was coming down, I'm just like, yeah, post Mean Streets, Shaman's just going to be a giant amalgamation of everything. It's going to be an aggro Jade pirate Shaman.
Yep.
It's
aggro Jade pirate burst spell, whatever. It's crazy.
it's terrifying. I mean, you're absolutely right. I didn't really. It's a cornucopia, is what it is. We're already past Thanksgiving, but I would have called this the Thanksgiving deck if I had to coin a name for it, because it's got a little bit of everything in it. And I just didn't see this coming. I mean, we even talked on the show when we were looking at Jade Claws, and we're like, do you run this with Spirit Claws? No, of course not. Well, of course, yes, of course you do, is apparently the question, because...
Well, you do, because you're running... The pirates make you run all the weapons, right? Mm-hmm. Because... once you have the pirates in there, the pirates are activated because of weapons, right? So you've got your charging pirates that only charge when you have weapons. You've got your small-time buccaneer who gets buffed when you have a weapon. So you just need all the weapons, right?
Except Doomhammer?
What's that? Well, Doomhammer is in a bunch of these lists, actually. I've seen Doomhammer, not in every list, but I have seen Doomhammer in quite a few of them.
Yeah.
You don't need it, really, though. You can get away without it, because a lot of times you finish them before you ever get a chance to even play a Doomhammer. And you're not going to hit the 8 times with it, certainly.
And for those,
but I've seen a bunch of lists that run one as kind of like a high-end weapon. But the list you got here is like the kind of Jade aggro start, Jade as your mid to late game ability to continue to apply the pressure. So Aya Blackpaw being in there is pretty cool. But this list is kind of like aggro start into mid range, like final form, right? With the ability to just burst you down if need be.
Yeah, it can really be whatever you want it to be. For those following along at home and audio only, if you're looking for the deck list that we are referencing, I just pulled these images directly off Tempo Storm's meta snapshot. So, and if you want to follow along at home, just open up Tier 1. We're looking at what they labeled as Aggro Shaman and Pirate Warrior, and then in Tier 2, we're also looking at Pirate Rogue, which they put in the number 9 position as of recording this episode. So Tempo Storm has it listed as an aggro shaman, but this can really kind of do either, right? Depending on how you draw, and what deck you're playing against.
This doesn't do aggro the same way that, say, the warrior does, where it just pounds your face and doesn't ever concern itself with anything on the board, because that's kind of how. I mean, sometimes you use weapons to remove things. But this deck will more often do some early trading and things. It's got Flame Tongue Totems to kind of manage the board a little bit using their early game minions. And then, of course, if it gets to mid to late game, it can do Flame Wreath Faceless and Aya Blackpaws and stuff like that to kind of continue. So it still does count as aggro, because it does get off to that. I mean, when you're running, 12 1-drops, I think. I mean, it's hard not to call it an aggro deck when it's got 12 ones in it. So, yeah, technically, there's lists that don't have Aya, and there's lists that have Doomhammer, and there's lists that do all sorts of different things.
But that's also the kind of the binding agent between these 3 decks is the obscene number of 1-mana minions.
Yeah,
they all have quite a few, and that's just what.
But the key here is, I think, really the interesting point is that the pirates, we all saw the pirates in Mean Streets, and we immediately thought of Rogue and Warrior, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of people considered Shaman, but Shaman definitely fits that mold, because it's really all about the ability to get a weapon out early, right?
Yeah.
And Shaman is now, with the addition of Jade Claws and Spirit Claws in the last set, Shaman is now part of that. I can get a weapon out really early, which Hunter cannot do anymore, right? Mm-hmm. So poor Hunter's like left out of the pirate. Like Hunter's like, dudes, I'm the aggro guy. What's going on here? Like, how come I don't have an
Let
early
me into
game
the pirate party.
Yeah, you gave me a damn piranha launcher, and you gave these guys freaking claws. So yeah, it's a little weird now, and I'm a little concerned. So pirates, being as strong as they are and as fast as they are, like the core is the South Sea Deckhand, the Small Time Buccaneer, and Patches, right? I mean, you only really need those. Obviously, Warrior's running more, and Rogue can run a few more if they want to. So that deck is running like South Sea Captains and stuff like that. But the concern I have is Patches making it so that Pirates is the only aggro deck you can make now. And it feels a little bit like the answer right now, at least, is yes. Like, you can't really pull off the same amount of speed that you can with, say, Murlocs or just aggressive early game minions that are not pirates. All of those were nerfed, too, by the way. Like Leper Gnome and Abusive Sergeant and all that stuff. They were recently essentially, like, taken out through some nerfs. So, where does that leave non-pirate aggro? And are we going to see any other aggro besides pirates ever? I don't know if I like that.
Yeah, it's concerning as well. But I mean, is it really Patches? Because I think, as I said at the top of the show, I think Small Time Buccaneer is the card that really needs to be looked at. Because that's
it's probably Small Time Buccaneer more than Patches. I think, but Patches doesn't help the problem.
No, right? No, definitely. Patches is what just puts it way over the top, which is hilarious because it's a 1/1. But it's true. Like that. This would already be good if we were just looking at Small Time Buccaneer and an early game weapon. But the fact that your Small Time Buccaneer just puts a 1/1 charge onto the board when you play him, it just makes it that much worse. But
what it also does though is it allows you the free Patches. What it does really is it allows you to gain early board control. It's less about the 1 damage it does to your face, and it's more about it's one more tool to make an early game trade protecting your Small Time Buccaneer, protecting your other minions, right? It puts you into that snowball position, way faster than any other aggro deck used to do. Aggro used to be kind of like tiptoeing on the line of running out of resources and losing control of the board, and now you gain the board so quickly with Patches that it makes Small Time Buccaneer like Small Time Buccaneer without Patches would be like a bad Undertaker or something, kind of, right? Like, I don't think it's as scary without the ability to then have it be protected by this 1/1 that then clears your first minion in response, So I think it's the combination of the two. But I think you're right. Like, Small Time Buccaneer is a little bit overlooked in as far as like what's really making this go.
Well, and it's also, I mean, if we're going to have the discussion of balance, it's the one where there's somewhere to go. We have a dial to play with Patches, as you made the joke at the top. It's like, what do you do with him? Like, he's a 1/1. You take away charge, I guess, is like the only charge.
Yeah, but then what is he? Then he's terrible, right?
Yeah,
like,
how is he legendary then? Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. I actually think Patches is fine, but my issue is that pirates have Patches. And like Murlocs don't have an equivalent to Patches, right? Non-tribe aggro decks don't have an equivalent to Patches. So
Murlocs
I would like to see something added to the other decks that gives them the ability to compete with that early board game or board control that Patches gives you. So a Murloc that comes out for free when you play another Murloc, like, it's a cool idea.
Yeah.
Keep it going.
Well, and because the thing is, the Murlocs have Tiny Fin, which is the 1/1 for free. But
yeah, but it costs you a card out of your hand. It's
exactly, yeah.
Different.
You have to, you have to have it, yeah.
So yeah, but imagine if you had a Murloc that came out, and like, I'd given the example, like a 1/1 that buffs, like a 1/1 that kind of has, like, say, the Blood Imp effect or something like that, right? So like you get a free 1/1 that comes out, and then it buffs the other Murloc on the board at the end of the turn, gives it 1 health or something. Because Murlocs do have this already of buffing each other, right? That's already kind of part of their pack.
What they do, yeah.
Yeah, so if you had something like that for Murlocs that worked in a similar way to Patches, because I like the idea of Patches, I think it's a very cool concept. him shooting out of the cannon is always very satisfying. I think it's very cool. So yeah, give it like a 1/1 Murloc that doesn't have charge but does like a buff or something, and then allows you to then essentially protect your Murlocs in a similar fashion to what Patches does. I think that could be cool. So I hope Blizzard doesn't just stop here with Patches, because I think what's happened is you've homogenized aggro, right? You've turned aggro into now, oh, you're playing aggro? Well, it's pirates. You want to play aggro? Pirates go in that, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't really like that. I want there to be aggro in multiple different forms.
I agree. And I know you've talked about like what I think is if they're going to do that, if they're going to go along that lines of thinking of adding something comparable to the other aggro decks so that it's not just all pirates. I hope it is. I hope it's creative. I hope it's different. I hope that we don't just get a 1/1 Murloc that draws.
I don't want
the Murloc version of Patches where it's just, you know, a Murloc wearing a Patches mask. Although that would be adorable.
Yeah, but it could be funny though. I mean, they could come up with some sort of, you know, fishes the Murloc or something like that, and then he looks like Patches. I don't know. They come up with something that's like got their stupid fin pun in it, and yeah, could be funny. But I you know, look, I'm okay with aggro being as strong as it is right now, because it is very, you know, people were complaining the first week about how strong the Pirate Warrior was, and oh my god, every single, like, you played nothing but Pirate Warriors on the ladder, and it was, you know, it got a little bit boring. But it's so easily counterable that I'm fine with it. I'm totally okay with it being where it is. All you do is put in like a taunt minion and they just concede, right? So it's totally fine that it is where it is. And it's, you know, right now Reno Lock counters it incredibly with just a couple of heals and some early game taunts and the board wipes and stuff like that. You put in an ooze, you take away a lot of their power, so it's totally okay where it is. I think a lot of people overblew like how strong it really was at the beginning. But it's good that there's an aggro like list that is so like easy to build and so strong and forces you to kind of consider it when building, because I think if we had gotten nothing like this, we'd be living in Jadestone world, right? And that's not a world I want to live in. I
find golems more frustrating than pirates, to be honest.
and actually not as fun as I initially thought they would be. It's kind of boring. It
feels Cthulhu-ish in a way.
Sure.
It's just I'm just doing my thing. I'm just playing my kind of underpowered minions on curve to get my tokens out, just like you do with Cthulhu. You play your kind of, you know, balance cost minions to buff your Cthulhu.
No, it's true. And then when you play the mirror match, it's like who drew more golem cards, right? Which makes it very unfun. Right? For me, I want some play back and forth. I want to be like thinking about what I'm doing rather than just like, oh damn, you have Jade Spirits and I don't. Okay. Yours are 7/7s, mine are 4/4s. All right.
When I get into Jade Druid versus Jade Druid, it seems to come down to who gets the bigger Gadgets and Auctioneer turn first. That's when things just get out of hand. All their stuff? Yeah, because then if you have the Jade Spirits, you just one mana, draw a card, while these giant tokens just keep ramping up.
Yeah. It's, you know, to be honest, like, there's no perfect meta
Jade Idol,
in Hearthstone, and I think we're at like a pretty good spot because all of it does kind of counter. Like the rock paper scissors meta is really here, right? So if I play a really slow deck and I run into Jade Golems, you know, it's almost like an insta concede. But if I run into Patches, I'm like, yay, I got this, you know. And if I'm playing the Golems and I run into Patches, I'm like, oh no, my face getting beat in before I can ever, you know, set up and do my stuff here. So, you know, I find it really interesting. The one problem I think we're missing right now is where's our mid-range at, right? Like, mid-range is, like, gone.
It's getting...
Paladin is in the dumps.
So is Hunter, which was strong in mid-range for a while.
Goons proved to be the weakest of the gangs. And, yeah, I feel kind of like, I don't know. Hopefully, we just haven't figured the lists out, right?
Yeah, I want minion buff decks to be a thing, and it's just not taking off.
Yeah. I mean, maybe we can try to collect the meta at some point and figure out, how to do that. But yeah, I guess you could say Dragon Priest is the mid-range right now. I guess that's true. But I kind of consider them more of a beatdown deck. Honestly, they're not even like mid-range. They just play strong-ass minions on curve and just start smashing your face in now. It's like weird, but that's what Priest is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I mean, if you draw well enough, honestly, a lot of Reno decks kind of start feeling mid-rangey.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
It's just that they're so
curve a little bit.
Yeah, they can be rather inconsistent, but
you still have to consider them like control decks, right?
Yes,
like to a certain extent.
Mm-hmm.
But so I guess so like let's talk a little bit about why Hunters and Paladins can't do this. Because I tried actually to make a Paladin deck with Pirates, and I put in and it actually I did win some games, but it definitely felt the clunky, right? Like it definitely felt like there was pieces missing here. And the problem is, like, if you had Pirates with like I guess in Wild you could make this work, because if you had Pirates and like Muster for Battle,
yes,
like that I think makes
say.
it go, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like the 2/2 weapon that jousts, like you'll never win that joust because your whole deck is like low cost, right? So you're always gonna have just a 2/2 weapon. The 1/4 weapon is just not strong enough. You can't buff it like you can with, say, N'Zoth's First Mate, where then you can upgrade it and all that kind of stuff.
Plus, you get the minion off of N'Zoth's First Mate.
Yeah, you get a minion as well. It's exactly true, yeah. So you get one more durability with Light's Justice, but you don't get the 1/1. So, and you don't get the free patches either.
And honestly, Muster, Muster is great, but you got to wait till you have 3 mana. So you're either hoping to get coins so that you can get it out on turn 2, or...
Yeah.
The issue with it is it gets started too soon. It's slow off the line compared to your shamans, your rogues, your warriors.
Which is exactly the same problem that Hunter has right now, because Hunter has the 3 mana Eaglehorn bow, which like everybody runs all the time, but it's turn 3, which is 1 turn later than a lot of these other weapons in these other classes, and that's the problem because rogue hero power turn 2, shaman either Spirit Claws or Jade Claws. Turn 2, Fiery War Axe turn
rogue,
2. That's the big.
The Fiery War Axe and
difference.
the N'Zoth's First Mate, and the Rogue, just hero powers.
Yeah.
So it's really that turn 2.
Yeah.
Strong enough weapon. Like Rogue gets to do it without dipping into their hand, right? So they get to do it without using up a resource. Obviously, Warrior gets to play the strongest friggin' weapon in the game in Fiery War Axe, and then they get to make them better. And like you said, there's two options now as far as early game weapons for Shaman, and they're both incredibly strong. I mean, getting a dude along with your 2/2 weapon is amazing, and of course, being able to buff with spell power to essentially a more powerful Fiery War Axe is also amazing. So, either we need to start seeing some more early game weapons for these other classes, or we need to see some shifting in other versions of aggro to put them on par with Pirates. Look, I'm happy Pirates are finally here, because we've been, remember been
years.
Yeah, we clucked the meta with a Pirate Rogue.
Yeah.
And that was just like crazy. Like, oh my God, a Pirate Rogue? No, you can't make that work.
And it was really fun to play.
Now it totally works. By the way, I made a version of Pirate Rogue that was running the Lucky Do Buccaneer. A single Lucky Do Buccaneer, and it actually is pretty cool, because when you get to play a 9/9, that's just like your finisher, right? But nobody's really doing that anymore. Now they're all doing just like all the early game stuff, make a big Edwin, Leroy, win. So it's not nearly as fun. Our Pirate Rogue was better with Burgle.
Well, yeah, any deck with Burgle is better.
Yeah, I want to make that actually too. I think maybe we'll do that tonight. Do the burglary thing again with like the ethereal peddler, but also pirates, because like that's what I did with my ethereal peddler deck before, was just made it like an aggro deck that also burgled your stuff sometimes, and totally works. But now that's like even better, right, with pirates. So it's almost like you could take anything and just be like, and I put some pirates into like Miracle Rogue now, and I put this in the notes. Miracle Rogue now runs pirates.
Yep.
They still run the miracle stuff, but they also run pirates.
Yep.
They're like, yeah.
There's just no reason not to. That's it's a drag race, right? And like I use the example of you're slow off the line with these decks that have 3 mana weapons, and that's what it is. You're in a drag race, and it's just like, well, they've all got forced induction. I guess I'm buying a turbo too.
Oh, that's a good. I think that's a really good analogy, the drag race type of thing, because it's who gets off the line faster.
Yeah.
They're just gonna because you just keep the pedal to the metal the rest of the game.
Yeah.
And that was always a problem for Miracle before, right? Was they got off to such a slow start that they needed time, right, to get to their big auctioneer turn. Now they got plenty of time, right? 'Cause they're just smashing your face. Sometimes they just make a 12-12 on turn 3, and then that's how they win, right? They don't even need the auctioneer anymore. So it's pretty cool to see these pirates be so strong. But again, I'm just a little concerned that the other aggro cards are just gone, right?
Yeah.
Like Leper Gnome was like the king of the aggro, right? And now
I actually got him off of Maelstrom Portal, and I was so happy because I actually got to attack with him, and he did just give me a big hug, and I was like, "Oh God, I missed you."
Yeah.
Still one of my favorite lines on the whole damn game.
Yeah.
It used to just be, you saw Leper Gnome, you're like, oh, it's aggro, now poor Leper Gnome, just truly a leper now.
Oh. Shunned by society. Shunned by everyone's deck lists.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm glad the Pirates made it. I'm glad the Pirate is here. I would like it to stay around. I don't want it nerfed so it goes away. I would just like other aggressive alternatives than. Well, I guess I'm putting a few Pirates in. I'm with you. It shouldn't be the answer, but
Yeah. I think that's where things get a little bit funky because if you look at like Magic, I feel like there's so many ways to play aggressively, right? And I think that's what makes it kind of cool, right? You can make like the red-white, where you make weenies and then you burn. And then you can also.
Did you just say weenies?
Yeah, you make little dudes, and then you burn their face too with spells, right? But then you can also do like you could do like a. Never mind.
No, please move
But
forward.
you can also use like green and make strong like early game minions inside.
Okay,
whatever.
all right.
You know what I mean, though. You know what I mean. Like
Then the
there's
weenies-
multiple ways to build an aggressive deck.
Yeah, the
right
weenies
now,
go to the gym. They
one-
get stronger over time. And
right now there's one way, and it involves pirates, and that's a little unfortunate.
Yeah.
So
like I said, everyone's keep up on your vitamin C supplements. It's easy to get scurvy on the ladder right now.
I mean, look, I don't think the answer is nerfing the pirates. I definitely think the answer is giving more tools to other things, like giving Murlocs more tools. In the chat room, they just said, make ninjas a thing. Yeah, let's introduce ninjas. Let's have another way
that'd
to
be
be
fantastic.
aggressive,
Yes, ninjas versus pirates.
Mm-hmm.
They don't
We've
get
got a
along.
Jay
They
Shuriken
fight each
in
other.
the game now, right? I mean, that's a friggin' ninja weapon if I've ever heard one. So
Well, there's there were a lot of ninjas that kind of came in with this expansion.
got an ogre
Ninja!
ninja. Yeah, we got a
Ninja.
Murloc ninja.
That's kind of
There's a few or I guess not really being played cards from the Jade Lotus that are very ninja.
Yep. I like it. My favorite variation right now is definitely Rogue, and not just because I think I ended up going like 12-0 last night with not even what we're talking about here. I just had a Rogue daily and a Pirates daily, and in my tired I've done too much housework today stupor, I just vomited out a pirate list that was crap, and people made fun of me on Twitter for it because it like had prep, but I really didn't have anything to prep into, and because everyone's like, what's the prep for? And then one person's like, why is this wild? There's no wild cards. I'm like, you're right, there isn't. And then someone's like, yes, there is. There's a ship's cannon in there, but that's it. It's just a ship's cannon. And so clearly I was tired, and I still went 12-0 with this damn deck on the wild ladder. I went from 22 to 14.
That's how good Small Time Buccaneer is,
Yeah.
He
Also,
should have 1 health, and then he'd be good, I think.
you think so? Make him a 1/1.
That's
Like
what
the
kind of kills it, right? Like that's why Patches protects him so well. It's like if you didn't have the patches, it'd be a lot easier to deal with that extra health. But yeah.
Well, because then like he's already got he's got the 2 health, so you have a 1/1 and a 1/2 that can very quickly become like a 3/2 the next turn. Plus, you also have patches, and plus you also have a weapon. Like there's just though they're
you can deal with whatever they
situational.
play.
Yeah, even though they're situational, like he still basically has like 2 things that he does. Whereas like if you look at Alley Cat, they're a 1/1, a 1/1, and they have beast synergy. So like they've got the 2 1/1 bodies and the synergy, and he has the 1/2 body, the 1/1 body, and the synergy, and it's too much.
Yeah, because
So
if you like, let's say your turn one is I play Small Time Buccaneer. I get my patches, and then you are the hunter and you play Alley Cat, right?
Mhm.
And then I just equip a weapon, and with patches I kill one, and then I kill the other one with my weapon, and now I have a 3-2, and I'm ahead, and I'm just ahead the rest of the game, right?
Exactly.
And that's where Hunter kind of runs into their issue, because then on turn 2 they're like, here's a toad. Like you're like, whatever, backstab.
Yeah.
It hits my dude. He's still alive. He's a 3-1, right? And
Yeah.
He's still, so it's like, you're just ahead, and you just stay ahead, and you stay ahead, and you stay ahead. So
Yeah, so I think the 2 health, I think, on the Small Time Buccaneer is the thing that could be changed to bring it more in line with a lot of the other starts.
Dano is suggesting in chat to take away the pirate tag, but
He's a small time
he's a
buccaneer.
pirate.
He
though.
is a pirate, yeah.
I don't know. That's if we're talking soul of the card is important, then that I don't think can be.
I mean, you can kind of get away with no tag on Raytheon because he's in his human form, and his flavor text kind of explains it. But when you're literally a buccaneer, what else could you be other than a pirate?
They take it away and
Unless
they
you need a new buccaneer tribe, and then they had pirates and buccaneers.
They have
I
pirates
think
and
that's-
buccaneers.
That's a little bit much.
yeah, and they're all Tampa, Florida themed.
I
There
mean,
you
it's
go.
not a bad idea in theory, but I think Blizzard would never do that because it's soul of the card stuff. So anyway, I mean, to be honest, I don't think pirates are the problem. I just think other decks are the problem. The lack of other aggro options is the problem. So hopefully going forward we'll see, and this is still very early on in Mean Streets of Gadgetzan. There is plenty of time left for people to figure out what other decks and what other lists are actually really strong, and I feel like someone will find a paladin and someone will find a hunter that work. So
I agree, and
it's just not here yet.
yeah, and it's not all pirates. Last week we talked about Reno Lock. It is still on top of the charts. Jade Druid is doing just fine. Dragon Priest is a fantastic deck at the moment. And I'm still seeing Zoo, and Zoo still seems to be doing okay.
Zoo's always going to do okay.
Yeah, Zoo is never going to go away completely.
Yeah,
It's just one of those decks like that. Just it utilizes that hero power so much. But
I always have
right
to-
now, Reno Lock is still the king of the meta. By the way,
yeah.
Yep.
by far, it's got so many friggin' tools now. You think you're killing them, and then next thing you know, they're back to full health, and they've cleared your board, and it's crazy how powerful
you
that
shake
deck
your
is right now.
fist.
Yeah, it's like really.
Yeah,
Son of a
I agree. Looking at a Tempest Storm's tiered list, though, there's a lot of shamans in here. Why can't other classes get this much diversity? A lot of
I'm
thrall
happy
space.
just that we have, like Dills was talking about, the rock, paper, scissors meta right now. I'm glad it's not just one thing dominating all of the time.
Yeah, no, I agree.
You have options, so I think that's good.
It's like Pirate decks, Reno decks, and Jade decks are all pretty in hot contest, and so is Dragon Priest. It's still up there, so I'm happy with it. I was
Yeah, we've seen rank 1 kind of juggle around between a bunch of different types of decks too.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've seen aggro shaman, Reno Lock, Pirate Warrior, Miracle Rogue. Like all these decks have all hit rank 1 legend, and that's a really good sign because before Mean Streets, just a few weeks ago, every single person who hit rank 1 was using mid-range shaman. So things are good. Let's make sure that we finish this conversation by saying things are better now than they were a month ago. So
Yeah.
oh, absolutely.
it's Hearthstone is, I think, at its funnest right now that it's been in a really long time. So.
Yeah, we were getting very concerned and very critical towards the release of Mean Streets, and I think part of that was the lack of cards they showed at BlizzCon. It kind of felt like the Heroic Brawl was a more exciting announcement than the expansion. But I mean, this really surprised me, the effect of this expansion on the game. And now we have to, I have to start wrapping my brain around what the game is going to look like after the next standard rotation. When the next expansion gets here, what happens to Reno Lock when Reno goes into wild only?
I mean, we can only guess because we don't know what cards will be introduced.
Yeah.
We also don't know if there might be some surprise up Blizzard's sleeve around that time.
Yeah, Shmino Mock will be.
I think we're going to see some other cards that are going to come out that are going to, benefit from the one-off things, and maybe it's something along the lines of an earlier turn, like turn 4 or something, you heal for 15 or whatever. Like I feel like there's going to be more things that are going to take the place of Reno, so I don't think that
they
there's
added 3
anything
cards with the Reno text on them this expansion, so there's no reason to think that they're going to slow down on that.
Exactly.
I think that's going to keep coming for a long time.
They seem to enjoy rewarding the playstyle of the one-ofs because it's less consistent, so then they get a little bit more powerful effects. So I think that they're just Blizzard is going to continue to design in that space. So even though Reno will be rotating out, I don't think that means anything whatsoever. I think there's going to be other cards coming, and no doomsaying, people. No doomsaying.
Oh, I'm not doomsaying. It's very dependent on the success.
Oh, I don't mean you, Garrett. I mean chat room specifically.
Oh, God. I get the concern. I mean, yeah, I'm sure they're going to design more cards, but what the question is, how successful will they be?
Yeah, like Reno is still the reason that makes those decks go, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's the ability to reset your health total and start, because you can literally use your health as a resource so much more effectively when you know you have that reset button. So
yeah, and I think that there's going to be a similar effect, a similar heal effect somewhere with the same sort of an activator. Maybe it just won't be a legendary, or it'll be, spread out over multiple cards or something where like almost everything you do is healing you for a little bit if you don't have any duplicates, instead of like one big shabam, we're going to be rich turn.
Yeah. I want more neutrals though with that text on them, because Kazakus is just so cool. Yeah. Right? And Inkmaster, Celia, and Raza the Chained.
I always want to say Unchained too.
I know,
dude.
everybody says Unchained, yeah. Raza is chained.
He's chained.
Raza is on the chain.
Is on the chain, yeah.
But
like those cards being specific to a certain class, and I'm not even bringing up the friggin' Warlock one because nobody bring him. Cruel?
Cruel, yeah.
Cool, yeah. But
and
like
I think
those cards,
he's Cruel the Unchained, I think.
Is he really? Okay.
Yeah, so yeah, there's a chained and an unchained anyways.
He sees no friggin' play. But like those cards, like, it's nice, I guess, that each one has like a bit of flavor. But I think having the neutral tag on things like Kazakus and Reno is what makes it so cool, because then you can get really creative, right? When Reno first came out, you saw like Reno Paladin and Reno like whatever, Reno Hunter. I love that idea that you can then take that tool and apply it anywhere, right? I think that's what makes those cards so fun. Kazakus goes in whatever deck you want. So, he's a tri-class, but
yes.
You know what I mean? Somewhat neutral. But I think that's the coolest way. I like when they give us tools and then we just play in a sandbox with them and not like, okay, go be a priest now because they do this.
Yeah, they don't put us in a corner.
Yeah, exactly.
Nobody puts deck builders in a corner. Nobody. Well, awesome. Well, I think that's a good place to end our pirate talk for now. Let's get crazy. Let's do it.
Is the whole world gone crazy?
You're in trouble now.
You got it!
You can send your crazy game stories to tacpodcast@gmail.com, and I'm going to just pass this one over to Jocelyn.
Oh, all right.
Why not?
This one comes to us from Rob from Texas, who says, "Hello, chicken folk. So I was playing what I like to call my Reno Shake Priest, and I was going late game, turn by turn, with a Burgle Rogue. I'm at 30, the Rogue is 24. My board was clear, and the Rogue had Sylvanas and Karen on their side, among a couple of unmemorable trash mobs. At some point during the game, the Rogue burgled a Prophet Velen, which my Dirty Rat pulled onto the board. I followed that up with a Brand Mind Control tech to steal Cairn along with Velen. Still on the Rogue side of the board was Sylvanas, who had some prior damage and suicided into the tech to regain control of the Cairn, leaving me with Velen, and the Rogue ends her turn. I proceed to drop my Blood Mage Thalanos and blow my earlier crafted 5 damage Kazakus potion, which is now 12 damage, along with a Rogue Eviscerate I'd stolen earlier for turn 8. The burgled Velen, who, when against all odds, made it back to the Priest player who never brought him along in the first place, then attacks to finish off the Rogue, and the kicker, as he's attacking, he slyly says, "I foresaw this."
Oh my God. That's pretty fantastic. It's so fantastic, as a matter of fact, it disconnected Dills from the interwebs. And Jocelyn is about to get huge if you're watching the video.
Yay,
so just
huge
get ready for huge multi-dimensional Jocelyn. I love this kind of stuff. We've definitely complained about range of effects and how it's hard to play around certain things.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, though, I'd be kind of sad if we lost things like this.
I love the fact that he ended up winning with a card that he didn't even like, that technically belongs to his class, but then he did not actually add into his deck at all. I think that's so fun.
Yeah.
One of the awesome things about both Milkshake and also Burgling.
It's good.
You back, Dills?
I'm back. By the way,
right.
my Milkshake deck is a Reno deck at this point, so you don't even have to call it Reno Shake. It's Milkshake is Reno.
Still just Milkshake.
I really thought you were just gonna go into my Milkshake deck brings all the yada yada.
No, but you can't fit all the Milkshake tools in anymore unless you go Reno, right? Because there's just so many now. When I first started doing the Milkshake theme, that was in Classic, that was vanilla, so there was 2 Cabal Shadow Priests and 2 Mind Controls and whatever,
Thought Steals and
2 Thought Steals and stuff like that. So yeah, you didn't have as many tools, and now you got so many, you literally can't even fit them all in, right? Like we got Potion of Madness.
You literally can't even.
Yeah, literally can't even. And I got pint-sized potions now, and all those things have been added. So, yeah, it's gotten almost to the point where you're making tough decisions. You're cutting things that are super milkshakey, so you can put in the other milkshakey stuff. It's pretty cool though. It's in a good spot. So not like as a winning deck, but as a fun deck. Yeah, I do have a winning record with my milkshake deck. Overall.
But you are the king of the shakes.
I think we need a new bumper just for the weekly milkshake meta report.
I know, I should actually, that would be pretty funny.
Bill's
it's like, here's how my milkshake is doing this week.
No, it's literally just, we have some, the bumper needs to be longer than the segment. So we need a 20-second bumper that, I don't know, sounds like someone drinking a milkshake. And then we come in and I just go, Dills, you still have a winning record? You go, yes. And we just move on to the next thing.
Yep.
It's a yes or no.
Still winning.
Yep.
Yeah, I think my overall record with it now is just over 50. Yeah, so my most recent version is at 52%, but that's not the overall. I don't even know what the overall is on it. I'm going to look this up right now.
So
you move on to email.
Could technically get to legend with the milkshake deck if you put in enough games.
If I played forever and ever, yeah.
Probably 500-600 games. No big deal.
It would take forever. Actually, 52% overall as well, apparently.
So consistent.
Highest rank is 10 with this deck, by the way. That's not bad with a milkshake deck.
Yeah.
Is it wild still, or is it standard?
It's wild. Yeah, it's wild. Because there's too many, there's all these really cool cards that you want to play that are all in wild. So, like Velen's Chosen and stuff like that is just really... Antique Heal Bot is really important because you just need to not die. Light Bomb, obviously, really big deal. And then, of course, you got to have in... Vol'jin is I'm so sad Vol'jin is a wild-only card now, because that card is super sweet. The other day I made a play, and it was funny because I made it on stream and, didn't even talk about it, didn't even think about it, but I was looking back and I was like, yeah, I just saw that immediately. I guess I played so much Milkshake. But, I Vol'jined something with 5 health, and then I Wild Pyromancer, Power Word Shielded, and some other spell or whatever to just, kill the whole board. And then have my Vol'jin be super high health. It was the coolest stuff you can do with an effect like Vol'jin, and he's just gone. He's just gone forever, man. He works so well with my Holy Nova, but oh well.
Play wild. All right, let's move it into emails and wrap this sucker up.
Hello.
Hello, it's me.
Hello.
Just quickly, did you get my message?
Yep.
Oh.
Hello, brother.
You can send your emails to the same place, tacpodcast@gmail.com, or post over on the subreddit at tacpodcast.reddit.com. Our first email today comes to us from Orisi, is how I'm going to choose to pronounce that one. Greetings, clickety-cluckers. Why are they clicking? Are they walking on like laminate flooring or totally on my brain because we just installed some and now my animals make loud ticking noises when they walk. Anyways, Arisi says the new cards are upon us and we have all of them to look at and enjoy. Garrett gushes over the art. Jocelyn keeps the lore in check and Dills is planning the next big deck. The stats are analyzed and the card text scrutinized, but for a long time the cards have not been looked at to their full extent. The outrage of the hordes of fans must be acknowledged. In other words, what's your favorite flavor text from this batch of cards? I'm going with Doppelgangster. Every me, get in here. That is a good one.
Yeah, there's actually a lot of really great flavor text in this set, and I think, for me at least personally, Shaman wins. I couldn't actually pick. I have 3, I think, that are my favorites, if that's allowed. But 2 of them are Shaman cards, and I think probably my most favorite of all is actually Devolve, because it gives us the story of Ragnaros, and it makes me so happy. His flavor text, or Devolve's flavor text, is Ragnaros looked down. He looked like some kind of war golem. What have you done to me? He yelled. But all that came out was a deep grinding sound, and he began to cry.
That's
so
Have you noticed that Devolve is actually the 3 crime bosses being devolved into Murlocs?
Yes.
Someone pointed that out in chat last week, and the show was going so long I didn't call it out, but my mind was blown.
Yeah.
Just blown.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites. I'll save my other 2 in case they overlap with you guys. But do you have other ones that you guys like from this expansion?
The one I haven't read them all, so I definitely like my answer is not definitive, but the one that has stuck in my mind is Rathion's because it's so stupidly meta, and it's such a hand wave. I love, and they're aware that it's a hand wave. It's just Rathion, son of Deathwing, is a dragon. Why isn't he tagged as a dragon, you ask? What, are you trying to blow his cover? Love it.
So good.
It's just like, why?
Yeah,
I don't know, because
pretty sweet.
What it probably doesn't say is we tested it and it was broken.
What about you, Dills? Any favorites?
Oh, man. I'm not much of a flavor text reader, honestly. I'm like, yeah, I mean, maybe I'll get there eventually, but I don't really like sit there and go through all the. I'm just like, what deck can I build with these? So I guess the emailer nailed me.
All right.
All I was doing was thinking about the decks I could make. So
Garrett, I know you're gonna like this one. This one is White Eyes, which again is another shaman, and his flavor text reads, "My life for Aya."
That's pretty good. Oh, you know what? You know what I did like? I liked Knuckles. Knuckles I liked. Something about performance-enhancing bananas.
Oh, that was good.
Yeah.
That was...
Can't remember that. Hold on. I'm looking it up. Here we go. When confronted with accusations of performance-enhancing bananas, Knuckles replied, "I get my fruit from trees I knock down with my bare hands like everyone else."
Pretty freaking good, too.
Pretty good.
So my last one is the Backstreet Leper, because I called it out on the show, didn't even realize what his flavor text was, but actually his flavor text is quit playing games with his heart and his fingers and his foot. It's rude. And so for those of you who don't know, Quit Playing Games with My Heart is a Backstreet Boys song from the 90s. So that makes me really happy.
Oh God, that's good. That's good.
I'm a giant dork, I know.
You and my wife can pal around with your Backstreet Boys love.
Yep. But yeah, that's it. That's all I got.
That's just.
By the way,
delightful.
Cruel is the unshackled, not the unchained.
Unshackled. Okay.
But close.
They're very close.
Aren't shackles usually attached to chains? Let's be honest.
Yeah. No, I mean that's the thing. Like
there's chains.
they're also they look the same almost,
Yeah.
don't they? Yeah.
They're very, very similar.
Like,
They're both chained with red.
I know it's
magical
Django
chains.
Unchained, but there were shackles at the end of his chains. So
Yeah, so Raza, his artwork, he's very much still chained up, and then Cruel is like busted out and holding the chains. Yeah.
yippers.
Cool. So much synergy between not only the cards, but the artwork and the flavor text, and wow, yeah, they're nailing it, man.
Yep. The flavor text really tells a story. Like if you actually go in and read it, there's a lot of flavor text that like talks about the other cards and says like, oh, at one point this card did this for this boss, but now they do this or whatever.
Yeah.
And it like, if you're looking for story and lore in Hearthstone, it's actually kind of hidden in the flavor text.
All right, here's another good one. Mayor Noggenfogger. Flavor text. This flavor text was randomly generated. If it happens to form words and make sense, that is purely by chance.
Oh,
Yeah, there's some really good ones.
oh, that's just fantastic. Absolutely love it. All right, Dills from the tax subreddit. What's Blue Shirt have to say?
Let's see here. Blue Shirt from the tax subreddit says, I've been seeing mostly Reno Lock on ladder today. I tried my best to play some Buffetin, but it just can't compete. It's becoming apparent that Paladin will take Priest place as only viable in Wild. Pretty sour on Hearthstone today. Maybe it'll be better tomorrow. Can't wait for the masses to flock to the next latest and greatest streamer deck list and flood the ladder. I hate the deck, but at least Pirate Warrior games are over quickly. These Reno games, win or lose, are taking up way too much time. And then, Joss, you added this little bit here, right? Mm-hmm. So is there a viable standard Paladin build in the current meta? Actually, no, unfortunately. The Buffetin deck has a lot of problems. And I think Blue Shirt hit the nail on the head here that Paladin is now the trash tier of Hearthstone, unfortunately.
Yeah, which
and
is
even in
sad.
Wild,
it was the thing I was the most excited for.
Yeah, I know. I think a lot of us were, but even in Wild, it's too slow. Like Secret Paladin is too slow to really compete with
crazy.
The aggro. Yeah, like the aggro decks just murder it before it ever gets set up.
Yeah, I mean, if you're determined to play it, mix in some pirates. If you look up the buff Paladin on Tempo Storm right now under tiers all the way down in tier 3. And pretty far down the tier 3 list, it has patches in it. It has Small Time Buccaneer. It's using Light's Justice as its early game Small Time Buccaneer activator. It's definitely just worse than the other pirate early game pirate aggro decks that are out there. But if you want to play Buffetin in standard, this is probably your best starting point at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, look, the thing is, I'm sure that there are going to be people out there like, dude, I've got this Buffetin that's totally working for me, and I'm whatever. But, you are the exception, not the rule here. And I think, obviously, any deck can go in and get lucky and get good matchups and have a positive win rate, and you're playing it, and you're really good with it, whatever. But I think it's just, the overall, right now, Buffetin is just the weakest of the new types of classes, and this even kind of translates a little bit to hunters too. I mean, they're struggling too with this kind of buff style, because the hand buffing, it just slows the game down, right? So it's similar in a lot of ways to say what Jade Golems are doing, in that you start off pretty weak, your early turns are not great, and then if the game goes a little longer, suddenly you play a really strong card all of a sudden, and then they have to deal with that. But the problem right now is there's enough removal in the game that it just doesn't matter how strong your dudes are. You know what I mean? It never gets there. And
the thing is too, with with your dudes never getting there, even if you do get that one big buff dude down, it can't compete with golems, because golems are just constantly, there's more and more of them, and they're getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And with hunter, it's you buff one or two of your dudes, once you play them, that's the end of it. There isn't this constant generating engine behind the decks that there is with the golem decks.
Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, you're still using a card out of your hand, and then if it gets killed, it's still a pretty big blow, Mm-hmm. And obviously, there's certain cards that are amazing when you buff them, right? Acolyte of Pain comes out buffed. That's just so good. But then the other thing, too, is a lot of people are trying to do this aggro Buffetin thing. And an aggro deck doesn't want to spend 3 mana just drawing cards, Mm-hmm. And Small Time Recruits is exactly that, So it's great that you have an ability to refill, but an aggro deck really just wants to continue to apply pressure, not stop and draw. And that's kind of what that deck is doing at a certain point. So it's slow to start, and then it's slow in the middle, and then it's slow again, and it's just it's just not working out. So
yep.
Maybe the list just isn't refined, and we'll find something really cool at some point. That's awesome. But for now, it's just a little behind, right? It's
We did see a lot of Murloc, although it was wild, but we did see a lot of Murloc Paladin, so maybe there's something there with Murlocs
but
and
it
buffing.
didn't do that well,
Yeah.
The slow Murloc Paladin with the Finja and stuff, like there's a couple games where it worked really well.
Yeah.
And we talked about, didn't the winner of the tournament had
the
a
winner had it,
Paladin,
yeah.
right? But I think a lot of times it was banned because people assumed it was secrets.
Yeah.
And I think one of the reasons
Which
to bring
the
it was
Seeker
really
Paladins
smart.
didn't really
No,
do that well.
they didn't do that well. But I think the interesting thing about Taco was it got banned a lot, but then I think it was a good call to bring because people would be expecting secrets, right? And then suddenly it's like, whoa, it's Murlocs. Like I did not see that coming. But yeah, I think people will start to move back towards Murloc Paladin instead of this buffing thing. It's just it's struggling right now, and I hope that somebody figures the list out. I think it needs to be more of a mid-range list, not an aggro list.
Well, that's kind of the play style of at least the buff paladin that I was playing like day one that I moved away from quite quickly, but it was working. I just wanted to try other things, but it played much more like a mid-range deck. It's like you take a few turns to, kind of get your engine going and turn 3, you pull in 3 1-drops that then when you buff your whole hand, but again, you're taking multiple turns. So it's not until like turn 4, 5, and 6 where you're actually filling the board with really big buff minions that are then hard to deal with because you need some sort of an AoE as opposed to single target, which I think a lot of the hunter stuff is single target removal, which is, a lot easier to do in some cases. So when you're kind of spreading your buffed power across the board, it becomes harder and harder to deal with the more bodies it's spread over. So, but again, it plays a little mid-rangey, and that means that you can't, often you get beat down too quickly by aggro, and you can't compete late game with things like golems, and Reno just heals everybody right back up. So it's in this kind of weird mid-rangey spot, like a lot of mid-range decks that are just not that viable in the current rock, paper, scissors. They're like,
sure,
rock, paper, scissors, and your water or something. You don't even fit into the mix.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, though, I'm sure there are people out there who are playing it and it's working for them, and that's great. But as far as the overall meta is concerned, it's just in a bad spot. And I'm actually, I'm still playing. People in chat were saying the Hunter's in a worse spot. I'm playing the Goons Hunter in my DHL matches, and I'm winning with it every single time. I mean, I'm 12-1 in DHL matches. I've been using the Hunter every single week. So, it's possible. There's something there. It's just right now it's not refined enough. I think a lot of people just aren't even messing with it because they try it and they're like, never mind. Why am I not playing Reno Lock? The people who are trying to compete anyway. So, we'll see. The Tempo Storm list is very funny this week because they've got like Evolve Shaman, Gang Up Patches Rogue down at the bottom. Like they're starting to include a bunch of weird stuff. OTK Priest is in there. So, they're kind of like, here's all the things you can do. Let's try to put them in where we think they go. And I mean, I guess Hand Buff Paladin is better than OTK Priest. So there you go.
And according to them, better than Murloc Paladin. But, yeah, it's not carved in stone. I don't think it's figured out.
Again, it's too early to really say for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the pirate stuff just seems, even though we didn't think it was going to be as strong when we talked about it at this point, it does just seem kind of obvious, right? So,
well, I think the other thing we didn't mention is even if you do get your buff stuff out, like by that time you're far enough behind on the board that they have tools to deal with it. So it's like, oh, here's my really strong dude, and they're like, yeah, whatever. I've got like 5 guys on the board. I'll trade up and figure something out.
Yeah. Well, all right. Joss, final email?
Yeah, last email comes to us today from Brenton, and he says, I've never reached out before for an email question, so I hope I'm in the right place. Spoiler alert, you were. I just started listening to your podcast a couple months ago, and I was instantly hooked. Anyways, to my question. I've played Hearthstone since mid-beta and have heard over the years from multiple sources that the game needs good cards and bad cards for each expansion or adventure. I do understand that some cards should be better in certain situations or certain decks. I have never yet heard a strong, thought-out response as to why there should be objectively bad cards ever printed. Objectively bad cards are cards that never have a reasonable spot in any competitive deck. I realize you can also play just for fun, but objectively bad cards are typically not fun. I've heard the argument that if all cards are good, then no cards are good. But that's great. Why not have most decks be tier 1 decks? I would love you would have way more diversity in the ladder and on tournaments, on the ladder and in tournaments. Someone please explain this to me. So I think this idea was, and I don't know if you guys have anything to necessarily add to this, but Ben Brode actually had a video where he used me and my love for Eye for an Eye as an example. Basically, bad cards are teaching tools, and they need to come out each set so that if you are new to Hearthstone, when you're looking at the new sets and the new cards and the new adventure, you actually have a learning opportunity there. And you can say like, oh, this looks good. You try to play with it and you're like, oh no, it's actually bad. And then it helps you to become a better player because you can then start to learn and identify what a good card is. If you only had good cards, you would kind of lose that learning opportunity, and then it would be, I guess, like harder to be a deck builder. I don't know. That's where it kind of falls apart for me.
The more you,
because if all the cards are good, all the cards belong in your deck, right?
Well,
so
if all the cards are good, no cards are good.
It becomes homogenized.
Yeah, like if you're never sad, you're never happy, right? Like there's you could go into like anything with this, you know. If there are no poor people or no rich people, right? Like it's just like things are good in comparison to other things that are not good, right? So that's just how everything works, right? Like
there's a lot of different points you could touch on here, right? Part of it is the business model of card games, right? You need to keep buying packs.
Sure.
The other is, we don't talk about a lot on the show, but a limited format does exist. It's called Arena, and varying power levels of cards drastically affect that format of Hearthstone. Because sometimes you are forced to play with them, and you're forced to try and make them work. And I do find that fun. I would argue that that saying that bad cards are not fun is your opinion, not a fact.
Well, I think like, and when he's talking about bad cards not being fun, he's talking about like the ragers with the 1 health and the, you know, like stuff that like it's just not good, and it doesn't have a super fun effect like say Mayor Noggenfogger.
Yeah, but
he's not good, but he's fun.
Well, exactly. But then you're cherry picking for your argument, and I don't think that's really effective. Because it's like, well, no, there's plenty of bad cards that are fun. Eye for an Eye, for example. When I actually somehow get that through some randomness and win a game off of it, I'm fist pumping so hard because it's stupid.
Yeah, there's also like you mentioned, there's RNG effects that will summon those bad cards. Like, so, you know, Gary, you're talking about Eye for an Eye. Sometimes you end up with Eye for an Eye off of like the spell, the 3/4 spell dude, the mage card. You know, like sometimes you'll get a bad card, right? And that in turn like balances those types of effects, because if every card was good, like everyone would always play a card that gives you something, because every card is good, right? Like if I'm playing Unstable Portal and all I ever get are good cards out of it, then like Unstable Portal is an amazing card. Like that card even becomes even better. So, and then again, also too, it's literally impossible to make every card the same power level. It just is. Like you can't, like if you did that, every card would just be a Yeti. We would just be playing like Yetis against Yetis, right? And
I was gonna say, yeah, all 1 mana 1/1s.
Yeah, every 1 mana card is a 2/1. Sometimes it death rattles to this, sometimes it death rattles to that, but they're all 2/1s, right? And like every 2-drop is always a 3/2, and like the game would just not be fun or interesting. The game would just be this kind of, you'd be like, okay, turn 1, I do my thing. Turn 1, you do your thing that's exactly as strong as my thing. Okay, turn 2, I do my thing. You do your thing exactly as strong as my thing. And why is that fun or interesting? Or, you know, like we might as well just sit here and play friggin' coin flip with each other, you know? Because then it's like, who went first? They win.
Yeah.
Right.
The game will never be good in that type of format.
Right.
So.
That's where you get into asymmetrical design, and that's what's happening in Hearthstone. What happens in a lot of Blizzard games. Because you look at compare chess to StarCraft, for example. I mean, chess is perfectly mirrored, and you also have all the information in front of you. Whereas a game like StarCraft, you have 3 distinct races with big differences between them. In Hearthstone, we have all of the different classes with different differences between them. But then you also do inject a certain amount of a level playing field in the neutral cards that all of the classes can use. And and I'm not putting my thoughts together very well, I'm realizing. But that's
Well, it's-
another
yeah,
example
But I mean, I
of this.
get what you're saying.
It's a deep discussion to have on not a lot of lead time, I guess.
But so okay, so I mean, like putting it into another box here too. Why would you be excited to open a Tyrion as opposed to being excited to open, whatever else, right? Like you wouldn't be if every single card you opened in a pack was exactly as strong as every other card you opened in every other pack. You wouldn't be excited about any of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's like like I said, you're not happy without being sad. The happiness, in my opinion, is worth the sadness that you sometimes feel because. Again, it's like sometimes I open a pack and there's 2 legendaries. Oh my god, that's amazing, and it happens like very rarely. I think it's happened to me twice, and I've opened thousands of packs. Right?
I'm not sure it's ever happened.
But when that happens, it's incredibly memorable and exciting, right? And then when I get to play the good card, when I get to put the good card in my deck, that's a good feeling. And you literally don't have that feeling, period, if you don't have bad cards, right? So, like you take away the bad cards, and you literally kind of take away the fun.
Yeah. This is a really good.
That's nobody plays a deck of cards against each other where every card's an ace, right? Because that's just it's not
Silly.
fun.
Yeah.
What would yeah, and at the end of the day, that's what you would have to achieve, right? To have a truly balanced game. You couldn't have Tyrion and then another card that is different but objectively the same power level. It just doesn't work like that because there's situations where it depends, and you need that. You need it to be interesting. There's another article you should check out that's been posted in the chat room. Jocelyn just added a link in the show notes. You can look it up
I was
yourself.
like, damn it, Garrett, you took my line.
Oh, okay.
Mark Rosewater stuff.
I'm kidding.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I've actually read this before, and it's a very good read. You should go watch the Broad video if you haven't already, and then also read this. It's about Magic the Gathering, but it 100% applies to really any card game, and it's called When Cards Go Bad, and it's on magic.wizards.com, written by Mark Rosewater.
Yeah, it's really good. This is probably. I mean, we're not gonna present an argument nearly as thoughtful and well constructed as what he's done here. So it's kind of like everyone's go-to when this is brought up is like, hey, go read that. Okay, he did it. He handled it. He gave the argument. It's there. It's in black and white. Go check it out.
And
definitely, if you're curious about this, go read this. For sure.
Yeah, there's actually 3 parts now, so they're all linked in the show notes if you guys want to check them out. They're always at amove.tv with all of the new episode postings.
Indeed. Find the episode 187 post, and down at the very bottom, there's a link to the show notes. You'll see the very Google Doc that we use when we're doing the show. The 2 concrete things that are Hearthstone specific that I would point to are 1, Arena, and 2, any card that gives you a random card, whether it's Discover, whether it's Swashbuckler, whatever. Less than optimal cards are very interesting in those scenarios because every now and then they can be perfect. There are some, like the Ragers, where kind of no matter what happens, you're just like, oh, crap. That's not good.
Well, it's cool. Yeah, and like it's cool when you find that card that everyone considered bad and you make it work, right?
Yeah,
you feel like a genius, and that's a feeling you want to have.
I lost a game yesterday because a Dust Devil came off of a Maelstrom portal, and I did not have a way to deal with it. Dust Devil is a terrible garbage. Wouldn't put my beer on top of it. It was printed on cardboard card. But it randomly came off of a Maelstrom portal.
But
I literally had no way to deal 1 damage, and I lost that game.
Yeah.
And that's why in Hearthstone specifically, bad cards are interesting because we have limited Hearthstone in our constructed Hearthstone thanks to cards like Swashbuckler and Discover mechanics.
But like I think one of the biggest examples of this is the Grim Patron, right? Like where the Grim Patron comes out, everyone looks at it and they're like, huh? Like, why am I going to pay 5 mana for a 3/3? And then for a while, nobody's really messing with it. And all of a sudden, somebody goes, hey, check this deck out that I made with Grim Patron. And then it becomes the best deck in the meta. And everyone was wrong, and it gets to the point where they literally have to nerf things that are making that deck work, right? Like it's that friggin' good. And the discovery of finding the deck to build around this quote unquote bad card, where a deck is literally focused on using it and how it's used, is one of the coolest parts of Hearthstone, right? Is like figuring that kind of stuff out and making it happen. When Gadgets and Auctioneer was nerfed, everyone was like, "Yep, that card's gone forever." And here we are again. Like, we've found ways to make that card work. Not only in Rogue, but Druid is using it now too. These cards that are considered bad are only considered bad in comparison to other cards, and they're not 100% bad for all of eternity, right? Like, they're only bad until something makes them good, and that's what's super fun about card games.
Yep,
figuring that stuff out.
That's why we named the show The Angry Chicken, because when we were first looking, we're like, wow, this is a hilariously kind of bad card to be at the rarity slot. Yeah. And now people are making it work in Druid decks. Like, is it something you're going to hit Legend with? No. I mean, maybe. If you really, really want to dedicate yourself. And to put it in perspective, we're not going to do it, and we named a show after the card. So,
yeah. This show wouldn't exist without one of the worst cards in Hearthstone, right?
Exactly.
Pirates were terrible for a long time. A lot of pirate cards were just like, why even bother? Why do I care? But that being said, we had a lot of enjoyment before pirates were good, building a pirate deck, because it's fun to build fun decks, it's fun to build theme decks, and that's the other thing. And again, all of this is brought up in this Magic article that we pointed to. So definitely go read that. And I think we've exhausted most of our points, and I think especially the Hearthstone specific points. So
yeah, but it's cool to every now and then, revisit this kind of stuff that we haven't talked about in a really long time. I think we talked about this like 100-something episodes ago, and it's been a long time since we've covered it. So
it's been quite a while.
Thank you for the email. Good stuff.
I really like these kind of large, overarching kind of game design discussions, and we're not game designers, but it doesn't mean that it's not a concept that we're not interested in. Clearly we are. We do a show about a game, many shows about many games. So anyways, that's going to wrap it up for this episode. Again, send your emails to tacpodcast@gmail.com. Huge thanks to our patrons. Again, if you want to support the Angry Chicken, go to patreon.com/TAC. Give us 50 cents, $1, whatever works for you, however much you think the show is worth, however much you would like to support us for. We do very much appreciate it. We also appreciate iTunes reviews. Thank you to the Dizzy Fly, who said Blizz should be paying them. I agree. They should. They should totally be paying us. Because we've never really gotten on their case before. Yeah. Okay.
Except for that one time.
Yeah, just once. There was only one time ever where we got really in a tizzy over a video game. Also, thank you to Nusto and thank you to RVA, who apparently came over to the show from Overwatchers and said that he or she started playing Hearthstone just so they could understand the Angry Chicken.
That's amazing.
That is the most bizarre order of starting to play a game I've ever heard of, but I'm glad we got you there. Thank you to our Patreon producers, Declan H. and Peter Williams. You guys are awesome. Check out more about the show. The whole back catalog can be found over at amove.tv or youtube.com/amovetv. We have swag. We got shirts over at shirts.amove.tv. We have custom etched wine glasses, pint glasses, coffee mugs over at etched.amove.tv. You can follow the show on Twitter at TAC Podcast, and you can catch us live usually on Tuesday nights at 4 p.m. Eastern over at twitch.tv/amovetv or on alphageekmedia.com. Dills, where can folks find you when you're not trying to enrage the chicken? That just never doesn't sound dirty. Never doesn't sound dirty.
So the main thing going on right now that I want to let everybody know about is, of course, the 12 Dills of Christmas. It is live. It is happening. Yesterday was the first Dills of Christmas, and today is the second. So basically what we're doing is we've turned my stream into a magical winter wonderland. And come on by. There's Christmas music playing. We're drinking hot apple cider with maybe a little bourbon in it. And we're messing around and having fun with weird decks and doing interesting stuff. And we're going to do some variety gaming as well. So twitch.tv/WillieDillsSF is where to go for that. And it'll be happening every day until I believe the 23rd. I'll do a morning stream. Then I fly to San Francisco. And then the 24th, which will be the last day, I'll be in San Francisco. So I might have to do like a Christmas Periscope or something. I don't know. We'll figure something out. Maybe if someone else is streaming that day, I'll like jump into their stream and something. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But we'll at least have 11 Dills of Christmas this year, so it should be a lot of fun. Also coming up very soon, I want to point out the any of the wrestling fans who are also Angry Chicken fans out there. Me and Jury, Justin Robert Young, have started a wrestling podcast. It is called 1-900 Wrestling. Soon there will be, it's I think still not on the iTunes and all that stuff, but it's all been submitted. And soon there will be like Patreons and all that kind of stuff. We're on the road to WrestleMania, everybody. So come check it out if you like wrestling. Give it a go. It's a really fun show that we're doing. Comedy bits and all that, but it's focused on our love of wrestling. So
Fantastic. Jocelyn, how about yourself?
You can find me on Twitter and Twitch. I'm at Joss Plays. You can find me right here on twitch.tv/AMoveTV every Wednesday night for my general gaming show called The Gamers In. Other than that, you can find links to everything I do at jossplays.com.
Check it out, everyone. You can find me on Twitter at GarrettArt. You can find my graphic design portfolio, and if you need a graphic designer, check it out. It's over at nomoonart.com, and everything else is amove.tv. Joss and I have a WoW show. I'm doing an Overwatchers tomorrow with a Frenchman and another Floridian. Lots of stuff over there. Check it out. And don't forget to check out our sponsors, HelloFresh. They are sponsoring this episode. We have the code TAC for you to use. It will get you $35 off of your first week of deliveries over at HelloFresh.com. You'll get fresh, ready-to-cook meals directly to your doorstep. Again, I'm a terrible, terrible cook, and even this makes me able to create food worth eating. So check them out. We thank them for their support. We thank you all for listening. And until next time, job's done.
job's done.
Job's done.
Yes!